Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're doing well today. It's a beautiful day here in Middle Georgia. Today we're going to look at my Fill-Rite RD8 fuel pump. This is a pump we use to fuel the tractors on the farm, and we've had an issue where it's lost pressure and stopped pumping the way it should. So the first thing we're going to do is some general maintenance, looking at connectors for where the wiring hooks up, as well as an inline fuse that we have on this unit. You can see the connectors are just alligator clips, and as we looked at them, they appeared to be tight, and no problems there. Next is this inline fuse case, and it's got a 20 amp fuse in it that if I can ever get it out of this case, I'll show you is in good shape. I don't really think this is the problem, because the pump is still pumping, it's just not pumping the correct volume that it should normally pump. So if I can keep fighting with this and try to get it out, I'll show you that it is still good. Alright, let's try it from a different angle. I'm wearing these gloves to keep from getting diesel all over me. There it goes. And as you can see, if I can get it in focus, there we go. You can see that fuse is still good, so that'll work. We'll put it back in and move on to the next thing. As I said, this pump was actually pumping, just not the correct volume. So I went to a supplier and was able to get a rebuild kit. This has the O-rings and screens and the bolts for it. There's the part number right there. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. I'll be glad to answer any of them. It was a fairly straightforward repair, and the directions had great examples and showed exactly what to do. So here we're going to start with the outlet, and we're going to take the housing loose, and it's just 2 bolts holding each side of the pump housing together. So we're going to take those 2 bolts out. They're Allen cap head screws, and I'm sorry I'm trying to do this one-handed, but trying to film at the same time. You know, crappy camera work, as Arco would say. Alright, so we'll get them out and we will check the O-rings. As I said, this is the outlet side, so the only thing I should have here is an O-ring up under this piece of the housing. Sorry about having to do the video this way. Someone was outside listening to music and didn't want copyright issues. So that was actually pretty clean up under there. I didn't see a lot of trash on the housing, and the O-ring actually looked really, really good. But we're going to go on and replace it with a new O-ring, wipe it down with a little bit of oil, and then we'll fit it back into the retaining area on the housing cover. You can see where it fits in right there. And with it being new, it's a little big, so we'll massage it into place. And once we get it in place, clean off any debris that may have come on it and on the housing, and then we'll get ready to bolt it back together. Be real careful here not to let that O-ring get pinched. Make sure it stays in place, and then put your cap head screws back in. Pretty easy and straightforward fix for this one. So we're hoping that this seal kit will take care of the problem. There is another rebuild kit that actually has the impeller on it for the pump, but I'm believing this is just a seal issue because it's still pumping fuel. It's just not the correct volume. So I don't think the impeller's the problem, but we'll see. So now we're torquing these screws down a little, tightening them. And now we're going to do the intake side. This side should be exactly the same, except that it'll have a screen to prevent any trash from getting into the pump. So we'll have one extra piece on this side to do, but it's pretty much the same process. You take the two screws out, the housing comes apart, and let's see what we've got. So I see the screen, and it is definitely clogged up. The housing itself, around it, there's a little bit of trash, but it's still fairly clean. But inside that screen, you can see there's a bunch of trash in there. So we may have found our problem with why this isn't pumping. So get the screen off, and I can show you the incoming side. Oh yeah, that is definitely the problem. That is a bunch of algae and garbage. So it's no wonder this pump wasn't pumping correctly. We'll clean everything off, and then, as I said, the kit we've got has a new screen and new O-rings, so we'll replace all of those and put it back together. There's the screen, new screen and O-ring. And we'll do them exactly the way we did the outlet side. Just a little bit of oil. Make sure everything's clean, and then put it back in place. We'll press the screen in place after we get the O-ring. And it's actually a pretty snug fit to get the screen put in. But once we get them put in, again, make sure you don't pinch the O-rings as you're putting the housing back together. Right there, I'm pressing the screen in. Everything's in place. Let's put it together. A third hand would have been great at this point, because everything moved, and I just double checked to make sure the O-ring's still in place. This kit was really good. Like I said, the directions were great. The parts supplied were good quality. Luckily, the distributor did have one in stock. These pumps or this pump was about 6 or 7 years old, and he did have it. Now, if it's the impeller that's wrong and it's got to be replaced, he's going to have to order that kit. But this looks good so far. Let's look at this screen. This is the one we pulled out. You can see all of this gunk on it, and that's just algae that builds up in the off-road diesel. And I've definitely got to put an algicide in that tank. You can see it scrapes right off, but we definitely have a problem with algae in that tank, so we'll look at cleaning it as soon as we get all the fuel out of it. I think I'm going to clean this filter up, or the screen, because there's nothing wrong with it other than it being dirty. So I think I'm going to clean it, and here it is after we've run some mineral spirits through it, cleaned it up. And I think we're going to hold on to it and the old seals or O-rings because they're still good. And if this happens again, now I've got a kit that I can swap it out with. Hey, thanks for watching.